You know, I remember an interview I did several years ago with the Capital strength and conditioning coach, and he said the most frustrating thing for him in more than 2 decades in the business was when a player would come to him and go, "Why did I feel good on Friday night? And on Sunday, I could barely move my legs." And he said, you know, we're trying to figure out and give that player an answer. And I think some of this technology might bridge some of the gap there and help them find some answers.
Yeah, and we're seeing it not just at the team level, but the league level. The NBA, of course, has been beset by these words, load management, for a long time. We now have this player participation policy. But the NBA, to their credit, is trying to take action. And one of the initiatives that they just started rolling out this year is that every single team is going to get their own biomechanics lab, doing motion capture and force plate data, all the things that you would want to have a good setup. And the hope is that it becomes an athlete data passport, where like a team trades for a player and they immediately get all of the biomechanics data they've had before.
You know, Joe, they're doing this in other leagues as well. And in the NFL, this same tech-driven approach is building digital versions of every player, not just to enhance the game, but to better protect the athletes who play it.
We were looking at how to decrease the risk of concussions in our sport. We have sensors on every player in every play. It's a GPS locator, so we can identify where they are. So we look at the plays every week and understand each and every time a player's helmet hits something during the course of the game. Each one of those on-field concussions included with video angles from the dozens of cameras that exist at every NFL game. So we have a 360-degree view with an amount of information about each individual player unparalleled in the history of our sport. And so with all the data that we had, could we do something to intervene before they were to get hurt? And so we started this project called the Digital Athlete to do just that. So it changed the paradigm for us from what are we doing after somebody gets injured to help them recover, rehabilitate, and get back to play to prevent injuries from happening in the first place. For example, the hip drop tackle was much discussed. We saw a behavior where players were suffering high ankle sprains, a notoriously difficult injury to recover from. And we went back to the model, wrote algorithms to take a look at identify high ankle sprains and other related injuries, and saw a behavior involved in those that involved dragging a player down from behind in a swiveling technique by the tackler, which was unnatural compared to other tackles, and found that the injury rate on those sorts of plays were 20 times your average tackle. And so with the help of the computer, we identified this behavior, brought it to the competition committee, and prohibited it. That's going to happen 1 million times over.
So for years, we've heard about the concerns for the safety and health of NFL players. Do we feel like this is a meaningful shift for the league?
It really seems to be. And they got rid of the helmet in the tackle. You can't lower your head. And that was a really big controversial decision when they did that in 2018. And this past year, the NFL had the fewest concussions since they started keeping track of them to the degree they have been.
A decade ago, 2013, 14, 15, cover stories were the NFL in decline because of the rampant injuries throughout the sport. And I give Commissioner Goodell and owners a lot of credit. They had to invest a lot of money. They made this a priority. The game is safer. To Joe's point, concussions far fewer than a decade ago. And now they have doubled down on flag football and in tackle football. And you see participation levels in football, youth football, on the rise. So it was a real existential threat to the game of football, and I think they effectively, for now, addressed it.
What I'm really hoping to see is that transfer to other areas, other sports, right? We talk a lot about concussion in the NFL, as we should, and we've seen the impact that that data has had. When you look at things like youth soccer, could we maybe use that data to say maybe headers should not be allowed at a certain level? People are going to fight that, but I would like to see the democratization of that across other sports.
And some of these sports even have you could have a trainer on the sideline with an iPad, and if there's an impact above a certain threshold, that player has to come over and get checked out immediately.